So, let's talk about filibuster reform, shall we? Or in reality, we're going to talk about, unfortunately, the lack of filibuster reform. As you've most likely heard, Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell have come to a bipartisan deal that while it did change a few minor rules that will save some time in the Senate, most likely, the Senate will essentially keep the filibuster as it is. Harry Reid and enough Democrats were frankly unwilling to use the constitutional option to change the rules of the Senate, and so therefore nothing substantial has changed. We did not get the talking filibuster like Jimmy Stewart and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. We did not shift the burden to the minority from the majority, instead, needing 41 votes to keep the filibuster going instead of 60 to stop it. The filibuster rules did not change. Nothing substantial has changed. The Senate will still be the giant undemocratic mess that it currently is. I want to take a second here, though, to talk about how much I seriously dislike Harry Reid. All right, so here's the deal, though, folks. Here's the deal. I'm not going to go the normal route of disliking Harry Reid. I'm not going to say that Harry Reid is a wimp, or Harry Reid is spineless, or Harry Reid caved. My fellow progressives, I want to issue a challenge to you. Let's not call Harry Reid a wimp. Let's not say that Harry Reid is spineless. Let's not say that he caved because, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow progressive friends, I do not believe that he, in fact, did cave. Harry Reid stood up to us. Harry Reid fought us. Harry Reid stopped us. And we need to stop pretending that he and people like him are actually on our side. They're not. Let me go further on this. Let me go further and explain this a little bit further. So the two senators who were really pushing for really great filibuster reform, real filibuster reform, were Senator Tom Udall and Senator Jeff Merkley. Also, Senator Harkin was doing it as well. But the good filibuster rule change options were the Merkley-Udall package of reforms. And those two senators, frankly, should be commended for all that they tried to do. They fought really, really hard. They lost, and they fought, but they did in fact fight hard. And all of the activists, all the different groups that really did work and bust their butts to try to actually get something substantial should also be commended. We fell short, but again, that is not for lack of trying on the activist side. So, but what I want to point out here is the fact that someone who in fact commended Senators Merkley and Udall just this last May was none other than Harry Reid. Imagine that. Harry Reid was commending them just this last May. I'm going to, in fact, read you what Harry Reid said. Reading from the Washington Post, this again is a quote from Harry Reid from May, quote, "These two young, fine senators said it was time to change the rules of the Senate, and we didn't. And they were right. The rest of us were wrong, or most of us anyway. What a shame. If there was anything that needed changing in this body, it's the filibuster rule, because it's been abused, and abused." That's what he said in May. He was talking about what they tried to do at the beginning of the last Senate session in 2010. He said this May that Senators Merkley and Udall were correct when they tried to reform the filibuster 2 years ago. And now, well, he changed his mind, I suppose, because he, alongside a handful of other Democratic senators, stabbed Merkley and Udall in the back. They stabbed him in the back. No matter what kind words they were saying in May, when it came to actually doing actual reform, they stabbed him in the back. Despite what he said in May, he actually told the Washington Post on Thursday, quote, I'm not personally, at this stage, ready to get rid of the 60-vote threshold. End quote. So now, okay, look. Flip-flopping and being a two-faced slime ball is one thing, right? It's one thing to just be a slime ball, which Harry Reid is. But my dislike for Harry Reid actually runs deeper than that. And let me explain. You see, earlier this week, Harry Reid attacked Senator Merkley for trying to actually reform the filibuster. Reading from the Huffington Post, quote, "At Tuesday's closed-door caucus meeting, Merkley was upbraided by Reid for breaking unspoken Senate rules, naming specific senators in a conference call with Democratic activists last week, according to sources familiar with the exchange. Quote, he pissed off so many in the caucus, said one Democratic aide at Merkley. He's been having conference calls with progressive donors and activists trying to get them energized. He's named specific Dem senators. Many are furious. He was called out on Tuesday in caucus and very well could be again today." End quote. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Harry Reid. That is Harry Reid. Harry Reid is not a bloody wimp. Harry Reid is not afraid to fight. It's just what he's fighting for and what progressives are fighting for are two different things. You want to know really what Jeff Merkley did, what Senator Merkley actually did? He said on a conference call with activists that, hey, these are the specific Democratic senators who you should focus your attentions on if you want to get this reform passed. How dare he, right? How dare he? How dare Jeff Merkley engage with progressive activists and voters to attempt to advance the bloody progressive agenda? How dare he let them know who may be against filibuster reform? How dare he? You put Merkley in his place, Harry Reid. Yeah, tell him don't you dare mention who might be against the progressive agenda. Democracy, according to Harry Reid, democracy is about the deals that the powerful elite make behind closed doors. It's not about voters or activists or, God forbid, actually getting bloody legislation passed. By the way, according to Merkley, the senators who were on the fence were Carl Levin, Max Baucus, Dianne Feinstein, Patrick Leahy, Barbara Boxer, and Mark Pryor. So Harry Reid was not alone. And if this did not get passed, which it did not get passed, you can look no further to those senators: Levin, Baucus, Feinstein, Leahy, Boxer, Pryor, Reid. But again, my fellow progressives, Harry Reid is not a wimp. We should stop calling him a wimp. We do not have filibuster reform because he and a few of his establishment Democrat pals did not want it. He and his establishment pals are perfectly happy with the status quo of getting absolutely nothing done in the Senate. Democrats have no problem standing up as long as it's progressives who they're standing up to. We'll be right back.